Chinese are broke. Tourism collapses. Tourists trapped and overcharged. Worst May Day ever. Fake boom exposed. Shop owners cry. No sales. 1.4 billion trips a lie. Empty airports in Beijing and Shanghai. Pilots sell takeout as tourists vanish. During China's May Day holiday in 2025, tourists flocked to scenic spots, only to face overcrowding, poor service, and rising costs. The chaos caused widespread frustration, with many tourists demanding refunds and expressing their dissatisfaction with what they described as a disastrous travel experience. Many tourists are opting for more budget-conscious travel, leading to overcrowded and underprepared destinations. On May 1st, a blogger shared his experience of visiting Chongdu Valley in Luoyang, where the journey proved to be a nightmare. I haven't traveled during the May Day holiday in 10 years, but this year I decided to visit Luoyang's Chongdu Valley on a whim. The trip was about 350 kilometers and took 6 hours. Arriving at the scenic spot around 2 p.m., it took us over 2.5 hours to walk a 3-kilometer stretch to the hotel, with the traffic barely moving. When will tourist attractions start treating visitors like human beings? The entire area was a mess, and there was no clear management or organization. The issues didn't end there. On the evening of May 2nd, thousands of tourists found themselves stranded at Zhangjiajie National Forest Park in Hunan, with no transportation available to take them back. The situation turned dire as tourists, many with children and elderly companions, were left without food, shelter, or support in the cold, with temperatures dropping below 10 degrees Celsius. Visitors voiced their frustration loudly, demanding refunds and stating that they felt more like hostages than tourists. Fortunately, the situation did not escalate into a stampede. Zhangjiajie's management has come under fire for what many see as a money-grabbing approach, despite generating millions in ticket sales each day. Reports indicate that the park's capacity was severely exceeded, leading to long queues, broken elevators, and inadequate facilities. While VIPs received special treatment, ordinary visitors struggled with long waits and unsatisfactory service. Elsewhere, in Wuhan, tourists flocked to the Yellow Crane Tower, only to face chaotic mismanagement. The situation at the Yellow Crane Tower was beyond frustrating. With over 40,000 visitors each day, the ticketing process was a mess. We had to wait in a line stretching a kilometer, and once inside, we were packed like sardines, with no room to breathe. Parking was impossible to find, and the whole experience left many of us wondering why Wuhan couldn't manage something as simple as crowd control. Despite adding temporary ticket gates and extra bus routes, the crowding persisted, making the experience miserable for many tourists. The situation was similar at the Oriental Pearl Tower in Shanghai, where visitors also voiced their discontent and asked for ticket refunds due to the unbearable crowds. On May 2nd, at the Henan Western Grand Canyon, tourists were stuck in lines for hours, with some waiting up to 4 hours just to get a refund. Several scenic spots raised their prices during the holiday, which added to the frustration. We spent over 1,800 yuan for a 2-night stay at a hotel, but there were no basic services like a shuttle, and the hotel's air conditioning was broken. They didn't even provide any compensation for the inconvenience. It's clear that the service didn't match the high prices. In addition to the overcrowding and subpar services, many tourists have expressed concerns about misleading advertisements at several scenic areas. I visited the so-called Korean homestay park in Zhangjiajie, expecting a winter wonderland, but when I got there, I found fake snow. It was cotton and sand, not the real snow I was promised. Fraudulent marketing has become a recurring issue, with several scenic areas using online photos to lure visitors, only for them to discover the reality of their destinations is vastly different. This is what Lijiang's famous sunrise rooftop looks like. It's supposed to be a serene place to enjoy the beauty of the ancient city, but it's just a dirty bed in a messy environment. They charge 200 yuan per person to take a photo on this bed, and it's nothing like the picture. As the economic situation in China continues to decline, many tourists have been forced to adopt new strategies to save money. This includes setting up tents at scenic spots instead of booking overpriced hotels or homestays. On May 3rd, a blogger shared a video showing tourists setting up tents everywhere around the scenic areas. It's become clear why so many people are setting up tents. Hotels that used to cost 200 to 300 yuan a night are now charging 800 to 1,000 yuan. The prices have skyrocketed, and tourists are finding that camping is the only affordable option. This tent wave was also observed at the Wanpingku scenic area in Rizhao, Shandong, where beaches were filled with tourists camping to avoid the rising hotel costs. One blogger posted a video commenting on the large number of tents, saying, "It's clear that people are here to enjoy the beach, but no one is spending money. They bring their own tents, cooking equipment, and everything else they need. It's becoming increasingly difficult for homestays to compete." As China's tourism sector faces challenges, the May Day holiday highlighted the deepening frustrations of both visitors and operators. Overcrowding, poor service, deceptive marketing, and inflated prices have left many wondering whether China's cultural tourism market is on the brink of collapse. The 2025 May Day holiday in China has come to a close, and while major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou are still buzzing with activity, many businesses are facing an uncomfortable truth. Despite the crowded streets, stores are seeing very few customers. The so-called boom that holiday goers expected has been exposed as an illusion, leaving business owners in disbelief and financial distress. Look at the crowd in the commercial district on May Day. There are plenty of people walking around, but no one is buying anything. They're just window shopping with no intention to spend. What kind of world is this, where people walk around with money but don't actually spend it? This is the sentiment echoed by many shop owners across the country. Despite bustling foot traffic, physical stores are struggling with a lack of real spending. Even in the busiest areas, the phrase, "lots of people, no customers," has become a common refrain. This year's May Day has made one thing clear. It's not that there aren't people on the streets. It's that there are no customers in your store. They're not spending. I can say with certainty that this is happening nationwide. There are crowds everywhere, but when it comes to spending, there's hardly anyone. Business owners across the retail and restaurant sectors are now grappling with this uncomfortable reality. The situation is particularly concerning for those who had hoped that the holiday would boost sales. One restaurant owner summed up the dilemma succinctly. Don't expect too much. The customer traffic on May Day was about the same as a regular weekend, maybe a bit more, but it certainly wasn't anything to celebrate. And even if tourists are crowding the scenic spots, it doesn't matter because they're not spending money. Even China's iconic West Lake, which typically draws crowds of tourists year-round, has felt the impact of this shift in consumer behavior. Once a reliable revenue generator, West Lake has seen a stark drop in spending. Last year on May Day, our daily revenue was 12,000 yuan. Yesterday, it was just 3,000 yuan. The drop is clear. The dramatic decline in spending this year highlights a troubling trend. The quality of consumption has decreased, and people are more reluctant to part with their money. Visitors may still be flocking to popular tourist spots, but they are no longer willing to open their wallets as they once did. The once bustling tourism industry is now facing the reality of a market more focused on affordability than experience. It's evident now, tourists are simply not spending money. Multiple reports and data point to a deeper issue: the ongoing decline in consumer confidence. People are no longer willing to splurge on luxury experiences, and the overall purchasing power has weakened. Tourists may appear to be active, but the truth is that they are more rational, cost-conscious, and hesitant to spend. As incomes fall, spending naturally follows suit. People are downgrading their consumption. The idea of enjoying luxury experiences is being replaced by more practical, budget-friendly alternatives. This trend, known as consumption downgrade, reflects broader economic struggles across the country. Even as tourist attractions are packed with visitors, many of these individuals are simply enjoying the sights without spending much, if anything at all. In fact, this disconnect between the crowded streets and the lack of spending has led some to question the true state of the economy. A phenomenon known as the lipstick effect helps explain this behavior. When the economy is in a downturn, consumers can no longer afford high-end goods, but still desire to satisfy their need for consumption. As a result, they turn to more affordable purchases, like small, inexpensive items or low-cost travel, providing them with a sense of satisfaction without the hefty price tag. Travel, in particular, has become a prime example of this shift toward low-cost satisfaction. While many people still take vacations or visit popular destinations, they are opting for more affordable options, often cutting corners to maintain the illusion of a vacation without the financial burden. Ultimately, the May Day holiday of 2025 has exposed a stark reality. Despite the apparent crowds, consumer behavior has fundamentally changed. People are out and about, but they are more selective, more cautious, and unwilling to spend the way they did in years past. China's once bustling airports, including Beijing Capital International Airport and Shanghai Pudong International Airport, are now eerily quiet, with deserted terminals and shuttered duty-free shops. What was once a vibrant scene filled with travelers has transformed into a ghost town, leaving many questioning the stark contrast between the official narrative of prosperity and the harsh reality on the ground. Look at the departure hall at Pudong Airport. It's past 9 o'clock at night, a time that should be the busiest for international flights. But the duty-free shops are empty, and the core waiting area has almost no passengers. The lack of foot traffic is not limited to a single airport. Dalian Zhou International Airport is facing a similar situation. It's 11:20 p.m. on a weekend, and the international terminal is completely closed. No passengers, no flights, not even a single person waiting to board. Beijing Capital International Airport, another major gateway, is suffering from a similar fate. Many of its duty-free shops have closed, with rows of storefronts now dark and empty. Staff members are left standing idly with no customers to serve. While China has tried to boost its tourism industry by expanding unilateral visa-free policies to attract Western visitors, the effort has largely failed. Despite these measures, foreign tourists have not returned in significant numbers, leaving the country's international terminals largely empty. A worsening domestic business environment, combined with the withdrawal of foreign capital, has further strained the aviation industry. The decline in air travel is compounded by fierce competition from China's extensive high-speed rail network, which offers a faster and more convenient alternative for domestic travelers. Geopolitical tensions have also taken their toll, with several international airlines suspending or canceling flights to and from China since 2024. This has left China's three largest state-owned airlines facing losses for the fifth consecutive year. But the most striking example of the industry's decline is the collapse of Xingfu Airlines, a domestic carrier that primarily operated Chinese-made aircraft. Just before the May Day holiday, the airline abruptly canceled all flights, citing financial difficulties. Reports revealed that Xingfu Airlines has been unable to pay wages for 9 months, leaving its employees struggling to make ends meet. As a pilot for Xingfu Airlines, I never imagined that I would end up delivering takeout and driving for ride-hailing apps just to feed my family. I have no income, no social security, and my family is suffering. How many families like mine have been torn apart over the past 3 years? Flight attendants have also turned to side jobs, selling popcorn or taking on other forms of gig work to survive. The airline's financial situation is so dire that even the company's ground staff have confirmed that there is simply no money left for flights to operate. Netizens reacted with shock and sympathy, with one commenting, "Imagine having to choose between flying a plane and driving a ride-hailing car. At least with Didi, you know you'll get paid." Xingfu Airlines' financial troubles are not new. Employees have reported salary payment problems as far back as 2020. But the collapse of the airline has served as a dramatic illustration of a broader economic crisis affecting businesses across China. A mainland blogger captured the growing sense of despair among the public. In 2025, we are seeing businesses, whether private or state-owned, collapse at an accelerated pace. The worst part is that this is affecting basic industries like air travel and passenger transport, which are directly tied to population movement. If even travel demand is shrinking, it is a sign of just how bad the overall economic environment has become. The pessimism has deepened, with many pointing to the ongoing trade war and geopolitical tensions as a root cause of the economic stagnation. As these challenges persist, some fear that the current situation may only be the beginning of a much larger crisis.